think there's definitely a difference in those first couple seasons where the expectations are low, but our expectations are high. And that is the tough part, is just keeping those expectations with the team and not letting the external noise kind of get to you. And, you know, we got a lot of good guys on this team who have experience with that, and I think we're built for it. There's nothing worse than having to, you know, watch your team from the sidelines and just wanting to be out there to help and, you know, be a part of it and be in the mix. So I think especially like from the catching position, it's like going from not being in every play to being in every play is just such a huge change. And, you know, I love catching and love being a part of the team, and I want to be a part of it all year and make a run.
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, you can obviously look for excuses in the year, but that's just obviously it was the reality of the situation, and I felt like I went out there and worked my butt off every day to do the best I could. I was proud of the way I went out there and just locked in focus-wise each and every day. And yeah, it sucks that we didn't make playoffs, but to be able to string together a decent year I was pretty proud of.
It's Gunnar Henderson, going to be part of the U.S. team World Baseball Classic. There'll be an action later on this afternoon against the Diamondbacks. Giving you a check out on ESPN. But Gunnar, coming out of spring training last year, hurt. Remember, missed the first week plus of the season. And brilliant 2023, which got him Rookie of the Year. Was an MVP-level player in 2024. Starting shortstop for the American League All-Star team. And then last year, by pedestrian standards, he had a really good year. But when you put Gunnar Henderson on this $400 to $500 million contract guy, and who knows how the finances will change or what the lockout will do to maybe calm salaries. I don't think much. Could be looking at $700 million. I mean, the guy's only, his mid-20s. He's a really young player. But he had a good year based on other shortstops. Like Bobby Witt has become the dude. But Gunnar's not far behind him. And the skill set is definitely similar. And Gunnar Henderson, his injury kind of set the tone for the slow start to the season. And then Cowser gets hurt in the first series. Suarez gets hurt in the first series. Westberg gets hurt in the first series. And it just kind of started a season-long trend in which the Orioles wound up using 70 players.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a bad team and a banged-up team. But Gunnar was proud of him, you know, bouncing back and having a good year. It was a good year. But it wasn't an MVP year. It wasn't an all-star year. And it wasn't a playoff year. It got better defensively. The power numbers dipped 20 homers. It's not like he missed 40 games. He missed like 10. The power numbers dipped significantly. But as he talked about after the fact, there was an impingement in the shoulder, and he couldn't really get his thing rolling offensively because health, which we didn't even know about. He didn't even mention this. Don't only get in here until the Birdland Caravan back in January. Not to make excuses. I guess that's what it is. But it was kind of an interesting drop in power for a guy that you think you could just plug and play. There's 25 right out of the gate. So Gunnar Henderson, yeah, it sucked you didn't make the playoffs. Not only did you make the playoffs, you finished last in the division after 3 straight winning seasons and leading the American League in wins just 2 years early. Then we heard from Adley Rutschman. And you just heard him say it was brutal, paraphrasing. Sitting on the bench watching my team scuffle. When he did play, he scuffled. A scuffle that's going back since the All-Star break, as we've talked about a million times, since 2024. Got off to a really good start at spring training last year. Didn't carry over into the regular season. And just as he started to get it together, he got banged up. Both obliques cost him significant time. Second half of 24, he took the foul ball off the wrist right before the All-Star break. And was never the same after that. And then if we remember, he missed the start or two because of a bad back late in 24, even though he has never used excuses as a reason. Well, last year, you kind of got it built in. You spent 2 stints on the IL. But Gunnar, stud. Adley, stud reputation, stud accomplishments. but someone that's been trending in the wrong direction. I mean, his OPS last year was below 7. That is unacceptable. So we'll see what he brings to the equation, health permitting. And he had a really good game Saturday in spring training as he doubled and hit a home run. But Adley Rutschman is kind of the foundation guy. And you heard him say expectations were low when we first got here. He's the one, Nolan, that started the big expectations because he was 1-1. Yeah. And then you got Gunnar in the second round of the same draft who became a dude. But Adley's the guy that was kind of the Pied Piper. And you talk to the players, you talk to the guys that cover the team. Adley might not be a vociferous leader, might keep to himself in a lot of areas, but he's kind of the guy that, sets the tone and is respected within that clubhouse. So if he's back to being Adley Rutschman, you go back 2 years ago. No, let's go back to July of 24, year and a half. Hey, who's the starting catcher for the U.S. team in the World Baseball Classic? It's Adley Rutschman. It's not even on the team. It's Cal Raleigh, who had an MVP-level season himself. So his stock has fallen for whatever reason. Injuries, maybe he got a little girthy, maybe his plate discipline started to get a little out of whack because that was one of his strengths. He could elite ball strike recognition skills. I know a lot of Oriole fans are down on Adley Rutschman because Samuel Basayo, as Adley was plummeting, Basayo was rocketing up the rankings, who they've already extended. But Adley Rutschman, I still think, is a major piece to what they're trying to accomplish here in 2026. And after a last place finish in 2025, anything less to get into the playoffs is going to be an unacceptable year. 83 and, let me do the math. There's 162 games, right?
Yep.
83 and 79 is not going to cut it, Nolan McGraw. And they're not going to get to the playoffs if Adley Rutschman is hitting 220 with 9 bombs and 29 ribbies and spends 2 stints on the IL. I don't think.
It's that contingent on one guy? I would disagree. I think they can make it.
If he does that, you think they're a better team or a worse team?
Well, it's bigger than one person, is what I'm saying.
I hear what you're saying.
I think last year, it wasn't just Adley. I mean, everyone either stunk or was hurt. I maintain that. I think I said a couple weeks ago, the Orioles don't need Adley Rutschman to even be on the roster to get to where they want to go. I mean, you can't put all this weight in one guy, especially one guy who hasn't shown it in years. Interesting part of his comment there about the noise, right? The expectations that came with transitioning out of the rebuild. And he said something about, we got the right guys in the clubhouse. We got the right mentality. And we're going to leave the noise to the outside. And maybe I'm reading into it a little bit, but that made it sound like the noise infiltrated the clubhouse over the past couple of years when those expectations were drastically increased after winning all those games in 23. And it was a very young roster. Sure, they did some moves to bring in veteran guys pitching, but it was usually just one guy every year. And it was a rotating cast. You get Kyle Gibson in there for a year, then he leaves. And someone else comes in, they leave. Someone else comes in. So there's really was no leadership continuity, which is why I keep harping on the Pete Alonso thing. Right, because he's going to bring you the offensive firepower. He's going to bring you the on-the-field stuff, but he's also going to guide this clubhouse where they need to be. He's going to teach them what they need to do to actually take that next step. And hopefully, coming from a big market in New York where the noise is always deafening, even when it's not deserved, there's always some chatter. He's more equipped to handle it than anybody.
No doubt about it. But guys like Adley, Gunnar, at this stage of their careers, they need Pete Alonso to hold their hands and tell them how to navigate through 162 games.
I agree. Well,
you know what I mean? So I'm kind of disagreeing with you. I think a lot of the noise was, their manager got fired in May. They were the first ones that had to address it because the general manager and the owner just sent out an email and a press release. And then Tony Mansolino, hey, Tone, what's going on, bud? I'm doing all right, man. Well, you're the manager today. Go get some points. Mm-hmm. And now he's thrown into the media. It's again, they got clobbered, too, by the Red Sox, and Adley Rutschman, Gunnar, Henderson, and all the young players had to address the media and talk about their manager getting bleep canned instead of the general manager, who didn't meet with the media until Wednesday in Milwaukee in front of a very limited media throng locally. That should have been before the game. So I think a lot of that noise was creeping in, and the fact that they were 0 for 5 in playoff games the previous 2 years, I think that was becoming a thing, no doubt about it.
And him getting fired came after not a 500 start, not a somewhat medium. No, they stunk it up for well over a month. So that's pressure.
And they had the quintessential Orioles loss the night before against Washington, remember, which led to his ouster. So there was noise coming in, and then the local noise gets somewhat loud, but the national noise started to creep in, like, what the hell's going on in Baltimore? Michael Ice did a crap job putting together the starting rotation. What the hell's wrong with all the young players? I mean, they didn't have a guy hit 20 home runs last year, a year after finishing first, I think it was second in the majors in home runs. They had been one of the biggest bashers in baseball for the better part of 2 years. And then last year had a hard time just putting runs on the board. So I think the noise, was there, but there's no longer excuses. And I think Adley Rutschman and Gunnar Henderson and Westberg, if he's around, they got to go out there and do their things. Eflin's been a tenured veteran for sure. I mean, they don't, Helsley's a veteran player. I mean, come on, handle your business. Pete Alonso, tell us how to deal with this.
I think clean that up a little bit. Not teaching them how to swing a bat. How do you go out there and play 9 innings every day? But clearly, they were not capable of taking on the leadership role. They were both given, and they're not the only two guys. The door was open. Anybody on this roster, anyone of this young core want to step up and be the leader, the clear number one voice in this clubhouse, feel free to do it. It's all yours. Anybody can come grab it. And nobody did. Nobody was that guy. So you needed a Pete Alonso.
That's not their personalities. Their personality is how they play on the field, and O'Hearn was that locker room guy, so they had some veteran guys.
And Odor, but I seem to remember Adley Rutschman after at the end of every inning being the first one hit the pitcher. Gunnar Henderson was
part of it.
Yeah, Gunnar Henderson was very effervescent when they were winning.
When the going's good.
So that's, I think, more of an indictment. It's like they kind of were like, we're used to being like awesome. Now we're not awesome anymore. And they didn't respond to that well. Now, Pete Alonso's coming from a Mets team. How big was their collapse? I mean, so he's kind of lived it too, where the outside noise is a lot louder than it is here in Baltimore. But either way, Nolan says if Adley Rutschman doesn't play an inning, the Orioles can still get to where they got to go. I couldn't disagree with that more. But that's why they play the games.
Basayo's going to have a hell of a job catching.
He'll be all right.